few years ago, 92% of every dollar that touched my hands left my financial system forever. Today, over half of that stays with us, and I did not get a raise. Today, I'm showing how the infinite banking concept works in a real life household. Mine. Hi, welcome back. It's Rob with Perfect Spiral Capital. Today, I want to look at how the infinite banking concept actually gets applied in a real world situation. How does it actually fit into a personal financial system? And for that example, I'm actually going to use some of my own policies as a background to give you an idea of what this looks like in the real world. Now, I'm not going to show all of the intricate specifics or details about my policies for confidentiality reasons, that sort of thing, but I will say I will share some facts and figures about how things have been working in our personal financial system and how that might have a direct impact for you as you think about how this process and this concept might work in your situation as well. Let's get started then and talk about what things looked like before we implemented the infinite banking concept. And in our house, we were saving probably around 6 to 8%, give or take, depending upon what that looked like on a given year in 401k savings, more or less. Regardless, that was about the amount of money that was flowing through or that we were retaining of the money that was flowing through our hands. So pretty consistent with what I think a lot of people are likely facing in the world today, in that most of them are saving, quote unquote, with their 401k programs, et cetera, that they have available at work in order to project forward what things might be for them in retirement. Well, the reality is that 6 to 8% I was saving just simply wasn't enough, and I could really feel it. I could see that the amount of money flowing through my hands every year, it just didn't seem like that was going to accumulate to what it should be in the long run. And whether I increase that to 10%, like is commonly mentioned by a lot of financial gurus and those types of things out there, something wasn't quite right. So that's how I ended up finding the concept. And I can talk about that at a different time. But what I want to talk about today is how that changed from that 6 to 8% then to what it looks like today. So fast forward a couple of years, really about 3 years or so, and things have changed dramatically in terms of how IBC works, or the infinite banking concept is really working for us personally. And we went from, like I said before, saving around 6 to 8% to now being saving around 30% of our annual income. And at first glance, that sounds pretty crazy. If you would have told me that that was going to be the possibility for us at that particular point in time or some time ago, I would have laughed in your face and probably said that's not even realistic. But it's all about changing our mindset. It's all about rethinking our thinking in how money flows through our hands over the course of time. And when we do that, and I look at what things are like today by creating this financial system in which money can flow into and out of and so forth, and then really overtaking the banking function, we went from essentially 92% of all the money flowing through our hands, leaving and going into somebody else's system, whether that was for living expenses, mortgages, taxes, insurance, etc., all those different things, 92% was leaving our hands. Now today, now that we've had this opportunity to implement the system, now we have about 56% of our income that is staying within our personal financial system. So we went from 92% leaving our hands and leaving our system forever to 56% is staying within our system. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a pretty significant change in a fairly short amount of time. And again, it all comes back to being able to control that flow of money that was coming into our system and then controlling how it flows out and then how that money gets repaid, etc. You're probably thinking, well, how is that even possible, right? Well, it is possible by paying premium, and premium is premium is premium. And anybody who is familiar with the infinite banking concept and has been around it for a little while, you begin to realize that the solution to the problem is premium. And I know that Some people will probably get all up in arms about that and say it's all a scam, whatever. I have plenty of videos debunking some of that. Feel free to check those out. But what it comes down to, though, is that premium is creating a larger pool of usable capital, of usable funds that we can use to keep that money within our hands, to keep that money within our system. So, some quick examples of things that we did to shift how that actually works was we first started with any bills or taxes, expenses that are on an annual basis. So, like an annually recurring basis. These would be like your property taxes, income taxes, your annual auto insurance or homeowners insurance type premiums. We simply redirected where the money flowed first. So instead of those simply saving up for them and then the money leaving our system, instead, what we did is we took those same funds, they went into the paid up additions premiums on our insurance policies. And from there, we were able to take a policy loan, still make those payments on time and get those squared away. But then from there, that's where everything changes because we did that slight detour or slight change of where that money flowed first. It's now doing something significantly different. So, what is it actually doing differently? Well, it's a couple of different things. One is by flowing that money first through our policy, we now are in a situation where that money is staying within our system. Additionally, that paid up additions payment or premium that we made, it purchased additional guaranteed death benefit. It's going to earn us guaranteed cash value now for the rest of the life of the person who's insured or until age 121 when those contracts would endow. And not only that, there's the ability to earn dividends as well over that entire time. So we're doing multiple things with those dollars instead of it just coming in and going out. It's simply coming into the system. It's buying this paid up future death benefit. It's buying guaranteed cash value increase, etc. And I'm still able to put that money to use by paying those expenses that I have to, and then I simply repay those over the course of the year like I normally would have had to do anyway. Now, everyone's situation is a little bit different. Your system may or may not get to that point as quickly, or perhaps maybe it gets there even faster. It's certainly happened. I've seen that happen with some of my clients before. In your situation, it might be a little bit different. Regardless, though, it's about having the control of the flow of money in your life. And that's fundamentally what the infinite banking concept is about, controlling that flow of money. And because there's a cost, always a cost with the money, whether that's paying interest to somebody else for access to capital or giving up the interest that that money could have earned over time, we're looking to solve for that on both ends of the spectrum with this concept. One last thing I'd like to touch on is that as the system grows each year contractually by design, it's going to at some point it's going to begin to really compound, and there's going to be significantly more cash value available, especially as we fast forward out 3, 4, 6, 10 years from now. And what's great about that is that cash value is going to be well beyond what just these living expenses may be in our given situation. And it gives us the opportunity to start looking for and generating passive income streams by putting that cash value to use and really begin to bolster our personal financial system that much more. What that really entails is, in and of itself, if I simply only did what I'm doing today and simply was controlling and maintaining the flow of money in our personal situation, just like you could be doing in yours, that alone would be significant in terms of what it would accomplish. And, a great example is simply just using a car. If you're going to purchase a car, let's say it's $30,000 every 4 years, that adds up in a hurry. How much of that do you want to retain, right? The same goes for thinking about your income. How much of that $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 a year that you're making, how much of that do you want to retain and keep in your system? That's really the question to start thinking about, that the infinite banking concept helps to begin to solve for. But it all starts with rethinking our thinking. And it all starts with reading, becoming your own banker. It starts with working with an infinite banking concept practitioner like myself or others, and getting the coaching to understand how to take control of the flow of those funds in your life, put it to use, and change your future. And the great part about it, it isn't just changing your future, it's changing the future for all of your children, for your future generations, your grandchildren, great grandchildren, etc. That's an amazing feeling. And we can do that all with one process. And that's what I would just like to challenge you to think about differently today. In wrapping up, I hope that I was able to give you some practical examples of how we use the infinite banking concept in my own personal situation, but also just to give you some ideas on how you could potentially do it in your situation as well. And if you're curious or this sounds intriguing to you, I'd love to talk to you about it. Feel free to drop some comments. Feel free to reach out to me at some of the information in the show notes. And with that, I hope that it was valuable for you today. Talk to you again soon.